All right, what's up, everybody? It's Alex once again, back at it with the EOT Newsflash Ravnica Allegiance limited set review onto the black cards. And the red cards will follow shortly later tonight as well. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. You might notice that there's something kind of odd with the capture right now. And that's because I have a special guest tonight. You know him, you love him. He literally is the spell piercer himself. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, Mr. Steven.
Hey, everyone. Glad to be back. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, but it feels like the first time, the very first time.
Indeed. I actually went and listened to that episode not too long ago.
The one where we were like partially coming in on different channels on the audio.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like we're underwater if you're not wearing both your headphones. It's great.
Yeah, that's immature Alex audio engineering skills coming to light. So go check those out if you're so inclined. If you can find them, I'd be even more impressed. But
they do exist on, I think it's like an MTG Cast like history site. But
yeah,
whatever.
Because I think the current MTG Cast site is actually currently down due to server issues, which...
Yeah,
that sucks for them. Apparently somebody like went in to change the password and then quit and then locked the whole thing out. But anyway, we're neither here nor there. What we're doing tonight is reviewing some black and some red cards tonight. Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm ready to get started.
Awesome. Have you gotten to, did you because I know you don't do a lot of pre-releases. Did you get to do any of the Guilds of Ravnica pre-release, or have you done any drafts with the set?
I did a little bit on Magic Arena 2 days ago. That's my extent of Guilds of Ravnica. I took a little hiatus. Got married, bought a house. A lot of things have happened recently.
Adult things, yeah. And we're gonna dig into all of that probably after the pre-release. We can actually go into grandiose detail of where the heck we've disappeared off to, and that's gonna be very very emotional for a lot of us, I think. So get your tissues ready for that one. But yeah, I say we go ahead right into these black cards here, Steven. There's a bunch of them, bunch of cool mechanics. So, I think I'll read one, ask your opinion, and then you can read one, and then ask my opinion. We just go back and forth and just, have a conversation about these cards here, if that sounds good to you.
Sure, although I don't think it's very Rakdos-y, given we're doing the black and red cards today.
But it's supposed to be a spectacle, and so far I think it clearly has been.
Yeah, you got me there.
But yeah, before we begin, we do have a 4-point scale that we want to make sure you guys understand what we're talking about. Obviously, it's ones are good, ones are bad, 4s are good, 2s are sort of your middle of the road filler, 3s are your sort of more powerful commons and creatures and spells, and your 4s are your absolute bombs. And we also have the S cards for your sideboard cards and your B cards, which are more build arounds. So let's keep all that in mind and get started with our very first card. This is Awaken the Erstwhile, 3 black sorcery at rare. Each player discards all the cards in their hand, and then they makes that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. Steven, what do you think about Awaken the Erstwhile?
So this card is really weird to me, mainly because the effect doesn't... So, there's, multiple reasons you would want this effect, right? You want to have your opponent discard all the cards in the hand. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But then they're most likely going to have more creatures than you.
Right.
And if you're being aggressive, that means you've probably played your creatures up to this point, so you might not be discarding as many cards, so it doesn't, hurt you as much.
Yeah.
But the 2/2s are still most likely going to be able to tussle with everything except your 4-drop, maybe.
Yep.
So... Again, it's a little awkward situation. And then on the flip side, if you're waiting to 5 and you have your full grip and you dump it, there's a possibility that at least 1 or 2 of those cards were pretty good for you. And so it's just an interesting card. I don't imagine playing with it too much.
Yeah, I actually kind of like this. I gave it a solid 2 and more of a build around me card. I think you want it in a more grindy control deck, probably black-white, and just have the ability to recoup card advantage after a while. Because you're most likely able to run your opponent out of cards at some point, and then, they have a card or 2 cards in your hand, and you've got a full grip, and you just fire this off. It sucks that there isn't any sort of graveyard shenanigans in this set. Well, there's a couple of black cards that have graveyard mechanics in them. But for the most part, this is a pretty strict build around me card. It's cool, and I think like EDH players are like nuts for this one too. So
I think this is gonna go in like a waste not type strategy. Like what is it? Like maybe you could play this in Nekasar. Like you just have a bunch of wheels, and then once you're done drawing all the cards and pinging everyone, you're just like, and get rid of those, and then this like pyroclasm that I brainstormed on top. Oops, just wipe everything up.
Well, before we go too far off the deep end, let's keep things to limited, because I know that you and I could probably like muse on commander shenanigans all day long.
Oh yeah, every card is a commander card if you try hard enough.
Wow, that is a bold claim. Bold claim. Let's move on to our next card, Steven. What do we have here?
So we got Bankrupt in Blood. It is 1 and a black sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you sacrifice. How hard is
that to say? Cost to cast.
Creatures. 2 creatures.
Two.
I thought it was just 1.
No.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, it's draw 3 cards. So sack 2 creatures, draw 3 cards. What do you think about this?
I think this card's actually just bonkers. If you have a bunch of creatures that have the afterlife mechanic on them, or just a bunch of tokens, or heck, even if they've like pacified some of your creatures, that's just fodder for this. And 3 cards for 2 mana. I mean, like you have to kind of factor in the amount of mana you spent on those creatures. But if there are a couple of tokens that are flying around, or literally flying around in some cases, I think this is an absolutely powerful card here. And if you have any death triggers as well, this is a massive tempo swing. I gave this one a 2.5 just for pure power. I think it's a really, really powerful effect here.
I think 2.5 is accurate, although I think you might be overhyping the power of the card. Like, I don't think it's going to necessarily win you the game or anything like that.
Oh, no, it's going to find you the way to win the game, though.
I think this card could have been like a solid 3, maybe, if it was instant speed.
Oh,
the fact that you can't use this in response to removal is a little unfortunate, but still, I could see there being a deck that would really want this effect. Like, especially if you're playing white-black and you're trying to find the enchantment, for instance, this would be a great card to help you do that.
Yeah. Card is cool, though. Our next card, not so much. I'm a little underwhelmed by it. This is Blade Juggler. It is a 4 to black 3/2 human rogue at common. Spectacle. This is our first Spectacle card. So Spectacle is basically an alternate casting cost, and you may cast a spell for its Spectacle cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent lost life this turn. So it's got to be main phase effectively here. And as it enters the battlefield, it does 1 damage to you, and you draw a card. Thoughts on the Juggler here, Steven?
So I think it's fine. I see in the spreadsheet you gave it a 2, and I agree with that as well. I don't think you ever want to cast this for 5 mana.
Oh, definitely not.
But in the deck you're playing it, you're probably going to be casting it for 3, and you have to keep in mind most of the 2-drops that have this effect are normally 1/1s. So the fact that this is actually on a 3/2 body for 3 isn't that bad. It's an upgraded. There's a Phyrexian card that does this.
Yeah, Phyrexian Rager is the card that I think it's trying to imitate here. Obviously, that's a 2/2, and it's always 3 mana. But I mean, this card's fine. It's a good. I mean, it's good for what it does. But I think you're right. You don't cast this for 5. It's way overpriced at that point, and then you get a 3/2 off of it. Bad.
Yeah, I think 5 is only really acceptable if you're in the top deck situation and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I get it. Turn this into another one. That's good, but you don't want to go into this thinking, oh, this is a really good 5-drop.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're paying for effectively a 3-mana 3/2 and a Think Twice.
Yeah,
which is
they stapled them together, although Think Twice hurts you. There's a fetch involved somewhere, I guess.
Yeah. All right, what do we have next here?
All right, so our next card is Blade Brand, and it is 1 and a black, instant speed. Target creature gains Death Touch until end of turn, and draw a card. What do you think about
those 3 words, draw cards, save this from being an absolute 1 for me. Death Touch is good, especially if you're in this low to the ground black-red aggressive deck, especially in draft or sealed for the pre-release. Being able to take down a big 5/5 that your opponents cast for literally no mana out of their Gruul deck or their Simic deck and trade up for it plus a card is actually pretty impressive. But you don't want to be slapping this on something that's really big and you've wasted some mana for it. So it's obviously situational, but it's still decently playable, I think. Solid filler.
Yeah, I think this is pretty good, and we've seen similar cards to it, like 1 mana give a thing Death Touch, or 1 mana give a thing +2/+0 and regenerate. Just a cheap effect that is kind of a getcha for your opponent, and it replaces itself, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, solid filler, but not more than that.
Yep.
All right, let's move right along to the next row of black cards. We scroll down the power of technology. We have the Blood Mist Infiltrator, 2 and a black uncommon vampire, 3/1. As it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature, and if you do, Blood Mist Infiltrator cannot be blocked this turn. What you think here, Steven? You gonna infiltrate with this bad boy?
No, not really. Like, the effect is cool, and it like giving you a sack outlet is nice, but with the more of the spoilers that we'll talk about later in black, there are just better sack effects in my opinion, and really 3/1 isn't going to survive a whole lot, so you need to be sacking something every turn, which you don't really want to do if you're trying to be aggressive.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And maybe it's better in standard if there's more like a secret style deck that's going to be created here in the next couple of weeks. But beyond that, this card is super underwhelming here.
Yeah, and even in standard, I think it's a little rough because you don't want your sacrifice outlet to be situational. Like, you have to attack in this instance. Like, you just want to be able to tap this creature, sack something.
Yeah.
Or, like, tap a mana, sack something.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there isn't an actual free sacrifice effect like Cartel Aristocrat was. Yeah, Cartel Aristocrat was just a stupid Magic card, and I think they learned their lesson and were wise not to print anything like that again.
I don't think it was stupid. Yes, it was like strong, but I don't think it was
common.
Yeah, so
a common 2/2 for black-white, you sacrificed a creature to it and gave it protection from a color. That's a stupid common.
Okay.
The fact that I remember
we'll agree to disagree on that one.
The fact I recall the text on it that well for a card that's over 5 years old now is quite impressive to me. So, anyway, what do we have next?
All right, so our next card is Carrion Imp. Oh, I guess we should be actually using the number sequence system we've been.
Blood Mist.
I apologize, I haven't been.
I gave Blood Mist a 2.
Okay, right on. So for our Carrion Imp, it is 3 and a black. It is a creature imp. It has flying, and when it enters the battlefield, you might exile target creature card from a graveyard. If you do, gain 2 life. And it is a 2/3.
Yeah, this is solid. We've seen like 4 mana is sort of the benchmark for a playable flyer in limited, and it being a 2 power is going to trade off with a bunch of the spirits in the format. Being 3 toughness is going to be able to block a lot of things as well. And there are enough little minor graveyard synergies that I think the exile ability is actually relevant here. And I can totally see this thing beat down for a couple of turns before they finally have to kill this thing. It's surprisingly effective, I think, is what it does. I gave Carrion Imp a 2.25.
Yeah, I think this card's a pretty good filler. It can target either graveyard, which is really nice. So even if your opponent is like playing a control deck or something, you can use your extra fodder. Yeah, all around it's pretty solid. 2/3 body is nothing to laugh at.
Yeah, and I like the art, just the fact that he's just gnawing on a guy's hand.
It looks like the guy's buried in sand, though, not actual water. So I don't know what's going on there. But
yeah, the
art to say he's not having a good time.
Definitely not. So the next card that we have is probably the best flavor text on a card, hands down, forever. Like,
ooh, that's a bold claim.
It's just like, this is the best. Fight me IRL, prove me wrong. This is Catacomb Crocodile. Catacomb Crocodile. 4 and a black, 3/7 common crocodile. That's it. It's just a 3/7. But I am Sewer King, said Rat. I am quick and cunning, and I know every tunnel. No, I am king, said Zombie. I am cold and deadly, and no one can harm me. The croc came and ate them both.
Amen.
Amen, yeah. Praise be to Orzhov. So, yeah, what do you like about the crocodile here?
It has a big butt.
Yep.
If it was flipped the other way around, it'd get real close to Yargle power level. So. I don't foresee playing this one too much, but yeah, it is a really nice one flavor wise.
Yeah, I'm actually have to disagree just a slight bit. I think this thing is quite playable. If you're in a very
Five
slow,
mana?
yeah, 5 mana. I mean, like Wishcoin Crab from Guilds of Ravnica was a 2/5 for 3 and a blue, and that thing was absolutely playable in all of my Dimir decks. And I think this thing is pretty darn close. Like nothing except for the black and exile removal. Nothing kills this. Like
Yeah, that's totally fair. Like no damage or anything.
Yeah, it's just too big, and I think this can easily hold down the fort for a good while as you kind of get your defensive plays back up and get the game taken over. I think this card is actually, it's filler, but it's good filler.
We'll see. I mean, I think you want to be a little bit more aggressive. Like Dimir is in the other block, so it might be a better card once you're playing with all three sets in Ravnica.
Yeah, that's definitely true, yeah. Although I have no idea how they're going to do the draft format with the Battle for the Spark set that comes out this spring. I don't know if it's a pack of each. As I understand it, the guilds and allegiance are supposed to be separate from that third set. So I have no idea if you're going to ever draft with a pack of guilds, a pack of alliance, and a pack of battle, which just seems weird.
So see, wizards can tell us you're not supposed to do this. But you can just go into your LGS and go, hey, we 8 people would like to draft this.
I mean, yeah, that's a thing, I guess. Yeah.
even if they don't suggest it as a draft format, like your opening week, I bet.
Yeah. I mean, like my store fired up a Homelands draft.
Yeah. Do you get 6 packs with that? Because wasn't Homelands like 7 cards pack?
8 cards in a pack, and they gave 6 per person to draft. Horrible.
Yeah.
I think we should clear the stage of that.
For the next card?
For the next card.
Yeah. That's a good one.
What do we got here, Steven?
Okay, so clear the stage is 4 and a black. It's instant speed. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you may return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah, I think this is just like straight up playable removal here. Having the creature with power 4 is going to be tricky in black, I think. Mm-hmm. But if you've got it, the ability is actually quite relevant here to get something, like a good threat that they might have killed already from the graveyard back. And this is where that Carrion Imp counterplay comes into effect here. So I like Clear the Stage quite a bit. I give it a 3 just for being pretty solid removal here. -3/-3 is, pretty playable. Obviously, it's no Bile-Blight, but I think that card was also a bit of a pushed mistake. But all things considered, cool card.
Man, you keep wanting me to talk about old cards. But no, I think Clear the Stage is great. It's an upgraded Recover in that you're getting to actually like kill a thing, so
yeah,
you can clear. I mean, you are clearing the way.
God.
No, but I mean, like, it's cool because Flavorfully, it does what its name implies. That's awesome.
Yeah. You're definitely not wrong about that. And I like how like the demon in the art is like flinging this corpse literally off the stage.
Just through it. Yeah. Great.
I don't know if that's Rakdos. Or maybe
that's 100% Rakdos.
Are you sure?
Oh, you mean the character?
Yeah, the character. Yeah, I don't know if it's the actual character or not. Yeah.
I was like, there's not a watermark, but it's pretty clear.
Yeah, we're not here to judge art tonight, though.
Oh, man. So on that note, a couple of my buddies, whenever we would travel to like San Antonio from Lubbock or Houston or whatever, we would play this game in the car where someone would have, I think it was like Orcish Library or a random card generator, and we would guess what the card was based on the art alone. And like, you would be surprised how many cards you can recall. Just like, okay, it's this set, this is what's in the art, and then just like, I think it's this. Like, it's a pretty fun game to
That's
play.
impressive. I think we should play that game sometime for an episode and just see what happens. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, that'd be good. Probably can't do newer cards for me just because I haven't been too in touch, but yeah, we'll see.
Oh, that's fair. We'll go way back. We'll go to like Alliances or something here.
But, sure. Yep, sure.
Yeah. Let's move on to Consign to the Pit. Let's see here. This is a 5 of the black sorcery at common, destroys target creature, and consigned to the pit deals 2 damage to that creature's controller. What you like here, Steven?
So it's a good removal spell, but it costs about 1 more mana than it should, in my opinion. Normally, like these, like kill a creature plus added effect, are at 5 mana. Like there is the Liliana spell, and then you have the Surveil spell from guilds that were both 5 mana.
Yep.
And so this is, I mean, in the decks they're going to want this effect, which is going to be the slow grindy decks. I think you'll probably be able to play one of them. I don't think you can play too many more than that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think you're absolutely right. It is about a mana too expensive because it's the 2 damage in there is clearly there to enable spectacle, and all of the Rakdos cards are far cheaper than 6, and to be able to cast this plus a spectacle card, like that's just a ton of mana for probably not a lot of investment. I think so. I'm pretty low on this one. I give it a 2.5 though. Removal is removal limited, so.
I think it would have been cool if the card was like destroy target tapped creature and it deals 1 damage to the creature's controller and it costs like 3 or 4 mana. Ooh. That might have been a little too pushed, but
still be sorcery.
Yeah.
I can see that. That's a good card. I think it's a good card. I think
I mean, they have that design space for the future. Who knows? Maybe it's in the next one.
Probably. But yeah, let's jump to our next card here, Spin. What do we got?
Cry of the Carnarium?
Carnarium, yes.
1 black sorcery. Uncommon. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Exile all creature cards and all graveyards that were put there from the battlefield this turn. If a creature would die this turn, exile it instead.
Yeah, there's a lot of text here, and like that extra line at the very end about the creatures dying this turn, exile instead, is actually like just icing on the cake for this thing. Mm-hmm. The only problem I have with this card is the fact that all of your aggressive Rakdos cards are very, very weak when it comes to their toughness, and this very well could be a two-sided board wipe. So I think this is better suited for your more mid-rangey controlling black-white decks in draft and sealed, just because your guys would most likely survive the wrath effect here. But if you've got to pull the ripcord and clean the board up, do what you got to do. But I think this might have some play in standard actually moving forward.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If there's some kind of like a black-red mid-range deck, or maybe like a Jund style deck that wants an effect like this, I think it's pretty powerful here.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I actually think this card's pretty neat alongside like Afterlife, because like you can use your Rakdos creatures to attack in, and then clear whatever's left, or like get the last little bits of damage you needed on like maybe a 5 toughness creature.
Oh yeah.
And you don't really mind that you lose your guys if you're trying to clear a bigger threat. Like ideally you want to play this in the mid range, but you have to you have to consider, if you don't have the good removal, like since consigned to this pit is so expensive, like this is another alternative to wipe away things.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think like the best removal spell in the set is actually a red-black card, which is surprising that we just don't have like a really solid single target black removal spell in this set, which is very, very strange, I think. Actually, there is one, but it's not like a universal just kill it. It's a conditional spell here.
Yeah, right.
So we'll get to that one here in a minute. Next up we've got Dead Revels, 3 and a black sorcery at common, spectacle for 1 and a black, and you return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. What you like here?
So I think this card's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think there was the pirate card in Ixalan that allowed you to return 2 pirates to your hand.
Yes.
And so Dead Revels costs 1 more mana than that, but it gets anything back, which I think is pretty solid. And even if you just top deck it late in the game, like paying 4 mana for this effect is a-okay.
Yeah, definitely. I like being able to like suicide a few creatures into my opponent's board and let them trade off and then get them back, cast them again.
I think this card is like a solid 2.5. Like it's just a little bit better than the filler.
Yeah, totally in agreement with you there. Yeah, 100%. All right, what is next?
All right, we got Debtor's Transport, 5 in the black. It's a creature thrall, and it has Afterlife 2, and it's a 5/3.
Yeah, and so this is our first Afterlife card here, Steven. What does Afterlife do for us?
Oh, yep. So Afterlife is when this creature dies, create 2/1/1 white and black spirit creature tokens with flying.
Nice. Yeah, this card's actually pretty cool. There seems to be an abnormally high number of 3-power creatures in this set. A lot of them are 3/2s actually. So this thing is unfortunately going to trade down a lot of times, but I think getting the creatures back out of it is still a fine rate. 6 mana for effectively 7 power with the bodies across, multiple turns, I think is a really powerful effect here. And if you have any of the cards in your deck that can take advantage of flyer synergies, I think this is a really powerful threat that your opponent might not be so happy to block.
Yeah,
or kill for that matter.
That expensive though, so you can't be like aiming to play multiples, and you really don't want this in like your starting plan for your deck. But it's like.
Yeah. No, but if you do have like one of the cards, there's like one of the gold cards that like wants things to just die all the time. I could see a pretty good argument for this one, but it's still fairly powerful. I gave it a 2 just for being solid filler. Top of the curve if you absolutely need it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Next up.
All right. So we got Drill Bit. It's. Oh wait, I did the last one. Oh, I'm gonna do it again. Drill Bit. 2 and a black. It's a sorcery and it has Spectacle, so you can cast it if your opponent's taking damage this turn. And its target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it, and that player discards that card.
This card is not playable limited at all. Unless your opponent just has the absolute, like, the biggest bomb in the format, which could be anything at this point. I'm not really sure. I think this is far better in Standard, in a super aggressive black deck, maybe a black-red or black-white, whatever it's going to be. This has a better home in Standard. So I'm not a huge fan of this in Limited. Sideboard it if you have to, though.
Yeah, it's definitely a sideboard card. Not really something you're looking to main deck unless you just like can't fill that last slot. It's not really a card you want limited because it's not a good top deck, and the only really optimal time to play it is on turn 3 or turn 2, 3, or 4 if you can do Spectacle and do another spell. Like, you want to be double spelling later.
Yeah, and I think, if you're going to make the argument for it, you can definitely say that, if your opponent has like a 6-drop bomb like a dragon, you can cast this on 5 to catch it before they cast it if they've drawn it. So, I mean, there's obviously application for it, but it's still just really awkward. In Limited, I think.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. All right, so this next one is a doozy. Font of Agony, Steven, is a 1 black enchantment at rare. Whenever you pay life, put that many blood counters on Font of Agonies. Pay 1 and a black, remove 4 blood counters from Font of Agonies, destroy target creature. Now, before you say anything about this card, Steven, how many ways in this set are there to pay life?
Ooh. I don't know.
I'll give you a hint. It's less than 10.
Okay. So shock lands?
Yep.
Yeah, because you pay 2 life for those that are on tap. No. Those deal damage to you because you can play them in one. Hang on.
Yeah.
Have I been playing these?
Because I think you're right. I think the shock lands say pay 2 life. Because
it is pays 2 life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so my count's actually wrong. So counting the shock lands, it's 5.
Yeah.
Aside from the shock lands, how many ways are there?
Oh, I don't know.
You know the answer?
What do you got? No, I haven't looked at it. Mainly because, I'll explain in a second. But sure, what's the number?
It's really important because the answer is 0.
Oh, okay. I thought it was okay.
You can't actually activate this in Limited.
Yeah, so
it's so stupid.
I don't know where exactly you want this effect because, like, even in Modern, like, there's better things you can be doing. I think that if there was a deck that wanted it, like Death Shadow, maybe, but that doesn't really make sense because you have a whole lot more like optimal cards you can choose, like Terminate.
Yeah, and actual removal spells. Yeah.
Yeah, like having it be conditional in this regard, like where it requires setup, is a little rough. But I mean, it is a really neat design concept. Like you could use this in EDH, for instance, and probably do pretty well.
Oh, but, sure. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be a very good limit.
Oh yeah, it's
going to be This is gonna be a feel bad.
It's a flat out 0 for me. You have to open 2 Shocklands in your pool or in your draft
And wait to use
to make this thing do anything.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Fortunately, our next card is quite good.
I think it makes sense though that it had to be pay life, because if it was whenever you're dealt damage,
Oh, God, it'd be
it
absurd.
would just be like absurd.
Absolutely broken.
So you get to kill up to like 4 creatures if you play this turn one.
Yeah, it's like you take some damage. You're like, okay, cool. I just took 4, and I'm going to pay 2 mana and kill the thing that just hit me. Absolutely fine. Yeah, this card is. This was a cool idea, very poor execution, or at least very poor.
Well, I mean, it's just not limited minded. That's really what it is.
But yeah, definitely a feel bad. Agree with you there. So,
all right, we got.
Unfortunately, the next card is good.
Yeah, no, this one's pretty solid. Grotesque Demise, 2 and a black, instant, exile target creature with power 3 or less.
Yeah, 3. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, this is going to be an auto include in pretty much any black deck you play. Most probably first pickable too.
Oh yeah.
It's just real solid at getting rid of the annoying afterlife creatures, or if green plays a threat that can adapt, you can be like, oh, let's get rid of that before you have a chance.
I'll do it in response to their adapt trigger.
Yeah, you can do that too. Yep.
Feel bads. Feel bads.
Get them.
Get them. Yeah, card's cool. I love the art here too. Just I don't know if the gargoyle is sucking the soul out of the guy or he's puking into his mouth.
Yeah, sure.
There's probably an animated GIF of this somewhere, kind of going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving right along. What do we got next?
All right, so we got Gutter Bones. For 1 black mana, you get a creature skeleton warrior.
Cool.
He enters the battlefield tapped, and you can pay 1 and a black to return Gutter Bones from your graveyard to your hand, but you can only activate this ability during your turn, and only if an opponent has lost life this turn. Oh, yeah. He's a 2/1.
He's a 2, yeah. So I actually kind of like this. You really want to be a super aggressive. It's better in draft, I think, to be super aggressive in your black-red or your black-white aggressive draft deck. It's probably even good in standard too. But just to be able to constantly turn this guy sideways, turn all of your creatures sideways, and have something to come back every single time if they block it. I mean, eventually they're just going to say, I'm not going to block this anymore, and let it come through, or find some way to, to pacify it or something like that. But if you have a sacrifice outlet for it, this card's really cool. I don't think I'm going to first pick this because I definitely want to have better more build around me than anything. But it's still a pretty cool card, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely solid. That recursion is not anything to laugh at.
Yeah, most definitely. Next up, we have, I think is actually a pretty cool card here. This is Ill-Gotten Inheritance. 3 and a black enchantment at common. At the beginning of your upkeep, Ill-Gotten Inheritance deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. You can pay 5 and a black to sacrifice it, and it deals 4 damage to target opponent, and you gain 4 life.
I don't know how I feel about this.
Really? This card's awesome.
I think the effect is pretty neat, and definitely being able to just enable Spectacle on each of your turns is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
That being said, I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd be playing this in a blue-black deck or a white-black deck, most likely. But, yeah, no, I think it's definitely something to try, but not something that you want to force every time.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think you're the fact about the Spectacle cards is absolutely spot on there. If you are in a black-white deck, which I think you want this more than anything. A lot of the black Spectacle cards have a little bit more card advantage built into them as opposed to the red Spectacle cards, which are a little bit more aggressively minded.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think this is a really good card to play in a black-white deck with a little bit of Rakdos card, specifically the Spectacle card support. So I think it's a pretty cool card. I gave it a build around me just because you want to build around it a little bit more, but very powerful for a grindy card and a cool way to fireball your opponent out of nowhere, especially in 2-headed giant because that doubles up.
Oh, it is. That's pretty. That's a cool thing. I think I would give it a little bit higher as a 2.5 for the potential that it can be. But.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm a fan. Yeah. Card's cool. I want to see it in foil, too. That looks really pretty.
Oh, yeah. All the coins? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. What do we got next?
All right. So we got Noxious Grudian. And he is 2 and a black, a 2/2 creature beast with Death Touch.
Solid too. He's
a good one.
Absolute filler and decent filler at that.
Yeah, it's a real annoying creature, hard to get through in combat damage, and if you can, or in combat, I mean, and if you can recur him in any way, then you can kill another thing.
Yeah, like I mean, I've reviewed a lot of the other cards so far. Kind of preparing for the next sets of the review here, and this is absolutely playable just because the Gruul and Zimmet cards get so big, and you need a way to slow them down for not a lot of mana. So
and that's pretty good.
Yeah, kind of like this next card too. Actually, we have Orzhov Enforcer, 1 in a black human rogue, uncommon 1/2 with Death Touch and Afterlife 1. This guy's pretty sweet, or this gal.
This unknown.
This individual of the Orzhov Syndicate.
Yeah, there we go. That's the best way to put it up. I believe.
That feels better.
But yeah, the card's really cool. It's a solid effect. The original card that did something like this was Doom Traveler, I believe, and it's really nice to see how far he's come.
Yeah, Doom Traveler was awesome. I especially against like other opposing red decks, like specifically the black-red ones. This is like a superstar against those decks because a lot of the red aggressive creatures have 1 power, which is kind of interesting. And that actually matters for a very kind of obscure card in red too, I think. So yeah, it's this neat card here. Yeah. What do we have next?
So we have Orzhov Racketeers, 4 in a black, 3/2 creature human rogue. Whenever Orzhov Racketeers deals combat damage to the player, that player discards a card. Afterlife 2.
Awesome. This card is amazing.
That's a stretch. It's 5 mana, which means by the time you're attacking with it, they're probably only going to have 1 or 2 cards left. Granted, if you're on the play and that card is their bomb and they're not sandbagging land, it's going to turn out real well for you.
Oh yeah, you can bring this thing back at any point.
I think the card's great. With the Afterlife 2, you're like getting a bunch of value out of it, especially because if they do end up chump blocking it, you still just get value flyers that are going to be problematic to deal with if they're not also playing Afterlife.
Yep. Yeah. No, totally agree. I give it a solid 2. It's a little bit higher than that, I think. I think you're absolutely right, though. 5 mana is quite a bit for this effect, but still quite powerful for that much text on an uncommon. Mm-hmm. All right. Now for a really weird card. This is Pestilent Spirit. 2 in a black, creature spirit, at rare, 3/2, menace and death touch. Instant and sorcery spells you control have death touch.
Yeah, so
what?
Unlimited, this card's solid. Menace Death Touch means whatever they're double blocking with, they're both gonna die no matter what.
Yeah.
So that's real cool. Granted, could be 2 spirits, so you'll have to clear the way for it.
Yeah.
But the constructed applicability of giving instant sorceries Death Touch is really neat. You can do a whole slew of things like turning your shocks and lightning strikes into like upgraded fatal pushes and terminates and like even better doom blades with your lightning strikes and stuff there. But the card's solid.
Yeah, the one that I'm looking at, it's I think it's like Pyrostatic Field, I think is what it's called, from Guilds of Ravnica. I think it's a 3 in a red, deal 1 damage to all opposing creatures. It's just Plague Wind.
Oh yeah.
Well, with this guy.
I think it's oh my goodness, I was playing it the other day. It's like something wins, and it's deal 1 to all creatures and they can't block. Like
Falter effects. Yeah, I mean falter effects are typically quite good in aggressive decks, and this one just turns them into 1 set of damnations, which is
all your stuff's gone.
Yeah, super cool. Kind of like with Goblin Chain Whirler and the statue half of status and statue. So maybe there's a deck there. I don't know.
I think status is actually what gives it that.
Yeah, statue is the removal spell. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but this card's pretty weird, but very powerful.
I like it. I really like the effects that kind of test the limits of something that hasn't been done before. Like
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I had her name in my head and I just blanked. But the one in a white,
Soulfire Grandmaster.
yep, Soulfire Grandmaster. Like that was a really cool design, and I was really hoping they would come out and do something like this. This is a neat effect to have in the game.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if they can ever put other keywords onto an effect like this. I think this is really the only ones that you can really do. Lifelink, Death Touch are kind of the ones that make sense at least. Mm-hmm. But yeah, never know. Never know. What's next?
All right, so we got Plague White, 1 and a black, 2/1 creature zombie. When Plague White becomes blocked, each creature blocking it gets -1/-1 until the turn.
This is decent. This is a decent beater. It's a decent defensive creature as well. It's gonna kill most everything that it blocks in the early turns. Most things have about 3 toughness on this set anyway, so I think it's going to kill most things here, and make like the Rakdos Trumpeter we're going to look at here in a second be completely ineffectual, which I think is kind of neat here. So I think this card has some interesting application, but I'm not super high on playing like a bunch of it. Maybe 1 or 2 in my deck, but I'm not. It's filler and not much better than that.
Oh man, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think this card is a 2.75, and
wow.
You actually want to be playing it in all of your red-black aggressive decks, mainly because your opponent is going to be incentivized to not block, because it's most likely going to trade up in mana every time, just due to the -1/-1 effect, and it's really awesome. None of the Afterlife tokens can block it.
That's true.
1/2, 1/3, or any of those just doesn't matter to it. And yeah, I think the card's really good.
Huh. Okay. Yeah. I think I want to play with it. Like, it's definitely an aggressive card, but so I think everything you mentioned there, just being able to block spirits reflectively here, anything with some odd toughness and power combinations. So I could see the light on this guy for sure. I think you might just be white.
Oh my goodness. Okay. That's
moving.
So, we got Priests of Forgotten Gods. 1 and a black, 1/2 creature human cleric. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
It's a 1/2.
Yeah, it's tap, sacrifice 2 other creatures, any number of target players, each lose 2 life and sacrifice a creature. You add 2 black to your mana pool and draw a card.
I don't know how good this card is. I do know that it dies to Plague White. There's a lot of hoops to jump through here. I don't know. Yeah, it's 2 creatures is just a huge barrier for a limited card when all of your creatures count, all of your tokens count. So this card is powerful. There's no doubt in my mind this is a powerful card, but I don't think it is a limited card. I think this is clearly a constructed card that that has 0 place in limited. I could be completely wrong. I gave it a 2.5 just because it is so obviously powerful, but I don't have the mind to unwrap the applications of this card beyond standard. So my hands are off this one.
I think this card is actually closer to a 3. I don't know if it goes all the way there, but I think it's probably like another 2.75. Mainly because sacrificing 2 other creatures, while it's a steep initial cost, you actually get your 2 creatures out. You're dealing 2 damage. That your opponent then has to sacrifice a creature, which is in essence 1/1 there. Then whenever you draw a card, you're replacing the second creature that you're sacrificing. So you're forcing a 2/2, but in a really different way.
Yeah, it's a really tangential 1/1, and scaling up from there. Yeah, just having to have fodder for this though, and being able to recur that fodder, I think is playable there. But yeah, this one's weird. This one's super weird here. Now,
I think it'll be really good once you're if you're able to play with Afterlife and then a couple of the 1/1 token producers from Guilds of Ravnica.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Now, quick flavor question here for you, Steven. Who do you think these old gods are? Perhaps the Nephilim from Guild Pact, I think.
Oh, I didn't realize the Nephilim came from Ravnica.
Yeah. I read a thing on Reddit,
cool.
And it talked about those might be what they're referring to here, which I think is absolutely bonkers.
That's really cool.
Those horrible. If you've not seen the Nephilim, and I think we talked about them before on the show before, but they are 4-colored creatures. They're all but one creature, all color of Wooburg, and they have just the most random assortment of abilities, and they have names like Yawn Tiller or Spear Nephilim, Gore Tiller. Like they're so weird, and nobody's played them. Like nobody plays the cards at all. And Steven goes to look up all the Nephilim.
Yeah, I did. I was curious. I was like, are the names really that far-fetched?
They're that bizarre.
Witchmaw Nephilim.
Witchmaw, there we go. Yeah. Your Tiller, I think, is one of them.
Glint Eye.
Glint
Ink
Eye.
Shredder. Yep, Your Tiller.
Yep.
And Earth Sapper.
Yeah, I think a very early episode, we had James and Holly on, and Holly and I challenged James to name the abilities of one of them. And he surprisingly did pretty well.
Oh, right on.
Which, James is a master of many things. Apparently, naming obscure abilities on Magic cards is one of them. So, there you go.
It's a clever ability to have.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'll win you some bar bets. Next up, we have the Rakdos Trumpeter, and the pure mechanics of his trumpets are horrifying. Like, you played trumpet, right, Steven?
Sorry, say what?
You played trumpet, right? Or
no, I played French horn.
That's right. Can a French horn shoot fire? Don't think too much about that.
Yeah, like you could probably set something up. You get the passage of air like across something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, this thing definitely looks like a French horn now that I'm kind of looking at it better. But weird art aside, this is a 1 in a black, 1/3 human shaman at common with menace, and you can pay 3 in a red to give it +2/+0 to the end of turn.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's a interesting, or it's a good blocker, and then once you have the mana to activate this once or twice, it's going to be an okay mana sink. That being said, it's not something you want to play right off the bat, but if your opponent is being very aggressive, it's a nice creature to bring in and then have the bonus of it being okay later.
Yeah, I think the fact that it has menace on by itself without any activation ability on it is the only thing that saves this card for me. So.
Yeah, just because it's an easy way to enable a spectacle if they only have 1 or 2 creatures.
Yeah, absolutely. Unlike this next card, which is just stupid.
I'll do that in a second. Okay.
This card is just bonkers.
Yeah, Spawn of Mayhem is awesome. So 2 black. It's a 4/4 creature demon. It has spectacle 1 black, flying trample, and stay with me. At the beginning of your
We're still going.
Spawn of Mayhem deals 1 damage to each player. Then, if you have 10 or less life, put a 1/1 counter on Spawn of Mayhem.
Why is there so much text on this card?
This card's great.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, they could have added more to the card if they just removed the reminder text from Spectacle, and there's no telling what.
Oh yeah, they could have added I don't know, tap to kill a creature.
Yeah, they have plenty of room to go. Come on.
Yeah. This card is.
That being said, the card is awesome.
Yeah, I give it a 4. Black.
Yeah, definitely.
Black has been the color that has the most 4s in it too. This card is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, this card's going to be great pretty much at any point in the game. I guess not if you're 3-4 life. But even then, it turns into a 5/5 when it attacks, and then a 6/6. A swing with a 5 and a swing with a 6 is probably going to finish your opponent off in the late game.
Yeah.
And if you're able to spectacle this thing, your opponent is in for a world.
I don't know how you kill a 3-mana 4/4. It is just ungodly how disgusting this card is, and this is going to be standard playable 100%, and you will play this in limited regardless.
Yep, this card's pretty solid.
Yeah. Also, it synergizes quite nicely with Spire Mangler, which is a 2 and a black creature insect at uncommon, 2/1 flash flying. As it enters the battlefield, target creature with flying you control gets +2/+0. That's fun.
Yeah, it's a really nice ambush piper.
Yeah.
Just turns into a 4/1 and just pretty much trades up with everything. And yeah, card's pretty great. And even if you're just playing it on your main phase to give one of your other flyers a buff, like that's going to be a good effect there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything about this card is pretty solid.
Yeah, love this card a lot. They could have easily made this thing be a rare and just tweaked it a little bit more, but I think on its face is super powerful and really good with all the spirits that you're making in Orzhov here. Yeah, what do we got next here?
So we got Thirsting Shade. For 1 black, you get a 1/1 Shade with lifelink. And for 2 and a black, you can give Thirsting Shade +1/+1 until end of turn. Yeah, these effects typically aren't too high. Just because you don't really want a 1/1 in your deck that doesn't have like very much upside. And even though it has lifelink, that's not really enough for it. Now, that being said, if you're trying to play a very low to the ground deck and you want this to like trigger Spectacle, for instance, then yeah, it's one of your 1-drops that could make the cut, especially because it can pump itself later.
I think you're stretching on this one, Steven.
You don't want to start with this in mind.
This is like pick 30. Like
I
you've got to, like, the pool has to be so shallow, the draft has to be so bad before I even start this thing. This is bad.
Yeah, not ideal, but there are situations where you might play it.
Yeah. I quite like the next card, though, here. This is Undercity Scavenger, 3 black, 3/3, Ogre Warrior common. As it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature, and if you do, put 2+1/+1 counters on Undercity Scavenger and scry 2.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Being able to turn into a 5/5 with a little bit of an advantage, it's like close to drawing a card. I think Scry 2 is about that.
Yep.
Yeah, this card's great. It's the 5/5 body is going to be pretty relevant. It doesn't die to most of the removal. Now, that being said, it will take a bite from Grotesque Demise because with the trigger on the stack, you can exile it. But yeah, this card's pretty great.
Yeah, and I do like, and this is more of a side note to cards that just have sac effects built into them like this. I think this is Wizards kind of responding to the fact that cards like Luminous Bonds and Pacifism are typically quite powerful limited, and to be able to get some value out of a creature that's been pacified and just completely made useless is actually really important for new players to understand and learn. And this is a great card to teach them that, because it is just a very simple card on its face, but has some real, I think, like next level play to it. So I like it a lot here, actually.
Yeah, I really like it as well. A 4-mana 5/5 is pretty good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Down to the last 3, and one of them is really good.
Yeah, one of them doesn't appear in packs.
Oh yeah. Wow, I didn't think about that. So there's only 2 cards left in this set.
So we have Undercity's Embrace for 2 and a black. It's an instant. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you gain 4 life.
This is not Foul Tongue Invocation, which was a far better version of this card, I think.
The only thing that is missing on Foul Tongue is just revealing a dragon. Like, instead, you have to have a 4-drop, which, I mean, if you're playing Spawn of Mayhem or something like that, I think it's okay.
Yeah, I'll need to see this one in play. I typically don't like Edict effects in Limited, personally. And to have that ability to activate, it's pretty tricky in black especially, so I don't know how I'm going to be able to pull that off. Not a big fan of this one, but I gave it a 2. It's solid removal if you need it, and if you don't have any other targeted removal, this will do it in a pinch, I think.
Yeah, I think this card is going to be better in your aggressive decks, mainly because you're going to be looking to just like clear away as much of their board as possible so you can get your creatures through. And it's possible that once you've like traded creatures after combat, you can use Undercity's Embrace to clean up their last big creature, which is a really nice ability. Yeah,
that definitely, it's more of an aggressive card, I think, for sure, absolutely. Yeah.
That being said, you will probably want to bring this in against the green decks that have creatures.
Yeah, absolutely. So our actual last black card then is Vindictive Vampire. 3 black, 2/3, uncommon vampire. Whenever another creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life.
Yeah, this is solid. Last time we saw this effect was Zulaport Cutthroat, and he was a 2-mana 1/1. Being upgraded to a 2/3 body on a 4-drop is actually really nice.
This is going straight my Azoni EDH deck. I love this
There you
card.
go.
This card is amazing. I need more effects like this. There's only 4 in the deck right now.
Yeah, what, like you have Blood Artist, Zulaport, this, and I believe there's
Falkenrath Noble, I think, is the other one.
Okay.
The 2/2 black flyer vampire for 4 has the exact same effect on it. Yeah. Anyway,
pretty great effect. It turns all your afterlife things into even like more powerful threats just because you can chump block with them and still get that damage in.
Yeah.
It means whenever you're throwing a creature in combat, you're guaranteed to get Spectacle as long as they're not blocking with the wall. So yeah, solid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess we can talk about our last black card here. So I didn't realize this, but it actually only means that black only has 1 mythic in its color.
Yeah, and I believe that's due to balancing, giving each mythic 1 and then giving each guild combination 1.
But blue has 2 mythics. Wait, does it? I think white has.
Oh, I don't know.
We'll go back and look. Anyway, if your opponent plays this against you, the Haunt of High Tower, which is a 4/black vampire, legendary vampire, mythic rare, flying lifelink, lots of words on it. If they play this against you at the pre-release, call a judge because they're cheating.
Well, where you're going to see this is if someone okays it to be playable and full box sealed. Which that's the thing at
Magic Fests, not Magic Fest. We can talk about that later too. But yeah, if they play this against you, call a judge. They're cheating. This card's not legal and sealed. This is the buy a box promo if you're not quite getting what we're hinting at here. But yeah, whenever it attacks, defending player discards a card, doesn't have to deal damage to them, and whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, so it attacks immediately as a 4/4.
Yeah, no, and it's also pretty cool too because you can use this with various mill cards because it's a card putting them into the graveyard from anywhere. So you could actually just like one-shot them with Mind Funeral. They put 4 lands into their yard, and then 2 in a black, they mill 13 or something like that. Yeah, the card could be pretty silly in EDH.
Yeah, so yeah, but again, if they play this, they're cheating. So that's enough of that nonsense. And that is all of our black cards. I have to give a big special thank you to Steven for joining me tonight. I hope he can come back and do more of this. If not the set review, more episodes in the future because we're going to try and get this train going again. There's a lot of Magic to talk about, and I think we've missed it. Yeah,
definitely. I did a lot of competitive Magic last year, and yeah, it'll be fun to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we didn't see each other at Christmas, so this is us who have our own mini reunion, actually.
I'm done.
So it's very, 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 very happy times. Happy times.
Indeed.
So we're going to close out the episode the only way that I know how when Steven is on the show. Actually, hold on. Before we do that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Go back and watch all the other videos. The white, the blue cards already up. Check out the black cards. They'll be uploading momentarily, obviously. Red cards will be going up as well. And then tomorrow, the green gold artifact lands. Those cards will be going up on Thursday, right before your pre-release. So take this knowledge and go and vanquish your opponents. I can't say you'll do well because I'm not going to play the cards for you. So that's up to you. But at least I hope we've told you which cards you should be playing. And now, Steven.
Let's do it again.
Yes! Oh, I just got chills. Well, thank you so much for watching tonight, guys. We will be back very, very soon with more nonsense from the EOT News Flash. And yeah. Have a great night.